You are listening to Wild Nevadacast from the studio of PBS Reno in Reno, Nevada. I'm Dave Santina, and I have special guests with me today because we're coming up on a brand new season of Wild Nevada. So, who better to talk about that than the producer and host, Chris Orr, and the director, and I guess you'd call yourself the lead videographer, Josh Fuss.
Why not?
We're going to go with it.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you guys for giving me a moment because you barely are here, usually out shooting a show. No one ever sees you guys. This is proof of life.
Yeah.
Here you are. All right. So we're over a month away from new episodes starting. There's a preview on PBS Reno. If you're watching this or listening to this, you probably watch Wild Nevada because otherwise, what are you doing here? So December 4th, Thursday, we're doing a little preview on PBS Reno. This is during our membership drive, our pledge drive, we like to call it. And so we'll get a tease of what's coming up in Season 8. But the first episodes premiere on Thursday, the 18th. And so, Chris, what can people look forward to in these new episodes in this new season?
Well, we got to do 13 new episodes, so we really kind of ran the gamut of seasons and locations for Season 8. So the first 2 episodes, we actually start in the snow. So it's kind of nice that we are premiering that episode in December because we do some backcountry fun where we get out and do some cross-country skiing with Nevada Nordic up in Tahoe Meadows. We learn more about backcountry safety with the Sierra Avalanche Center before we go out snowshoeing in Johnson Canyon. So we do hop over into California a little bit, but we chase the snow, so you've got to go where it's good.
Happens all the time.
And
we sneaked over the border 50 times, and people give us crap every time. But it's still, come on, it's a Nevada-based trip. It's real. It's reasonable.
You know, and one of the things about when we plan these shows, especially a snow episode, you do chase that weather, and sometimes the weather chases us. But in this case, it worked in our favor. So we have a backcountry snow episode, and then from there, we change up the weather by going down south and explore what I call prehistoric southern Nevada, which includes Ice Age Fossil State Park, and then we get to delve into some of that prehistoric geology by visiting Death Valley and really seeing some of those scenics on a day trip through Death Valley.
Okay, and so for people who are not aware, you talk about, or it's reasonable or seems sensible that we're in the snow in December when we premiere this show. That show was shot a while ago. When did you record that?
So we actually started on Season 8 last early spring. So that was more a February, March episode. And then we've been, of course, chasing the spring, chasing into summer. And then we're still filming as we hit now late fall.
You got one more shoot to go to get the season finished. And it does not even count the last episode, which is always a best of the season show.
Well, in this season, instead of a best of, we're actually doing kind of a best of tour landscape show. So we're doing a fall color tour as a best of.
Oh, pardon me. See, I haven't been a part of this show for a couple of years, guys, so I don't know what's happening. So we used to do it this way. Now it's a prettier show than what we would do in the past. So
and
that's
a lot of that
pretty
comes from adding Josh to both the PBS Reno team and having him as head videographer. I think she just called
you pretty, Josh.
Hey, I'm a pretty guy.
Pretty man.
There's no shame in that.
You know, when we go out on location, and whether it's Season 8 or all the way back to Season 5, part of really getting to capture these locations is great crews and great videographers. And Season 8, I think, has definitely not only continued that tradition, but really advanced it.
Yeah, so Josh came in after the 2 shows that premiere on December 18th. So you're actually, we haven't even seen anything from you yet.
You haven't.
I can't.
Maybe we should have recorded this.
Maybe we should wait. It's too late.
Yeah,
but, no, it's all right. But so you came in. This was a moving treadmill. We're dropping you on a train that's already left the station. So you had to kind of get up to speed immediately. You have a great experience that was really appealing to us to bring you in to do this show, and then you brought in great ideas. So tell me what that was like to come in and suddenly be in the middle of this project that's been, you've seen it, it's been around for 20 years, and now you're you're contributing to it. What's that like?
Yeah, it's been great. I wasn't a part of the first 2 episodes. So when I got hired, you guys had shot and completed 2 episodes. So it was kind of like jumping headfirst into the deep end.
Yeah.
Like you said, I had seen the show and was familiar with it, but it's been great. And like Chris said, it's a skeleton crew, right? I mean, there's 3 of us. It's
Yeah.
always Chris and I plus 1.
You watch
depending
other
on-
shows on PBS or on any station usually, and you watch the credit roll. You got
Right.
all these names that go by.
Right.
And then you watch one of the PBS Reno shows, and you got like 5.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
4 or 3 or few. I mean, in this case, it's 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you 2 and 1 other, and,
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah.
So you have so much to do.
A lot of time in the car. We've gotten to know each other, and it's really feels good to kind of like foster that team environment. Working with Chris is phenomenal. We're blessed to have a handful of freelance shooters, and coming in, I wanted to kind of gauge the show, but also bring what I've learned over the 20 years that I've worked in television and kind of implement some new things and some ideas and kind of freshen things up, add some production value, some fluidity and movement in frame. We've been shooting on new cameras and some lenses. We have new toys and
Yeah, and it's scary to take new stuff out there.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, we would for years use the same cameras that were sort of sturdy, reliable,
Right,
but they were not cinematic.
right.
They did the job, but they weren't. They didn't give you flexibility like you were trying to incorporate.
Right, right, and to talk about the more contemporary and progressive feel. It's these cameras kind of lend themselves to that look.
Yeah,
There is a little more periphery involved on shooting with these cameras, and there is a little bit more time. Some of the batteries are smaller, and we have to change filters and lenses from time to time. So, it might take 10% more time, but I feel like we're probably going to get 90% more value out of that.
yeah. I don't think we ever even thought about changing a lens before. It was just like, how dare you open the camera up to the
Yeah.
dust when
Yeah.
there's
Right.
a lens change. This is dangerous. So we
Right.
would just, we didn't even think that way.
Yeah,
So that's cool.
yeah.
Well, and
I look
as
forward to it.
you know,
Yeah.
in addition to evolving the videography and the look, one of the things with changing the production as I've stepped into the producer role is, of course, needing to evolve some of the format. So one of the things that we've been very dedicated to is continuing to give a spectrum of adventure. So everything from accessible to the more adventurous. And so adapting the new cameras to that format. And in addition, on occasion, really bringing the crew more into the show along with me, because with you stepping out of the series, while we continue to have great guests and great guides, it's not me alone doing the show. And so we do on occasion show, whether it's Tim, who's right now behind the camera, or Josh,
Yep.
as part of the crew, and really show what it takes to get up that mountain with the cameras, or enjoy a hot spring, or whatever it is we're doing in that particular adventure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think people will appreciate that. As someone who will sit down and watch, like a say Man versus Wild, where it's just him on camera
Right.
hanging off a mountainside, and everyone's like, "Wow, I can't believe he's doing it." I'm like, "Yeah, there's a camera guy
Yeah, they never.
hanging next to him,
This is what I've been saying.
holding
for,
a 30-pound camera."
for
And
years.
so to kind of peel back the curtain and show, like, we're out there making a TV show, and bring that kind of experience and bring the viewer in. A lot of the shots I try and compose is kind of embracing more of the handheld look, right? Because we're out there on trail. It kind of adds to the immediacy of the look, and so you kind of are transported and feel like you're there, as opposed to just watching something on TV.
That's
So,
great.
And
That's
one
great.
of the things that I think has always been important about Wild Nevada is it's a travel adventure series, but it is a show about an experience. And that experience changes location and changes locale, but we have to have that experience to really show it. And so having the crew as part of the episodes, I think really helps bring that to life, because there are miles of driving that we do together. There are miles of trail that we hike together. There's the staging of the landscape with the drone and all of those things. I think it's really nice to be able to show as part of the production value.
Yeah, and building on what you all started. So maintaining the integrity and character and spirit of what everybody has come to know and love about Wild Nevada, but just making some tweaks and freshening things up and taking it to the next level.
So to put this into language that a listener will be able to understand. If I'm watching this show now, how would I notice the difference? Like what's going to look, what should I look for that I can identify? Go, oh, I get it. That's what they did this year.
I think people will see it and be like, oh, they upped their budget on the show. I mean,
which we did not, by the way.
Which we did not.
I know.
But it took. There was a learning curve, and in the beginning, we wanted to stick true to like how things were done, and I wanted to kind of like wade into things and not come in with a sledgehammer, but kind of try and find little places to improve. And having these new cameras and toys, and like a lot of like the Chris calls them data dumps. Like when we talk to our guests on camera instead of up hiking on the mountain, and then it's a lock-off frame and you're just kind of stagnant and staying there. So we still have those moments when we need to, if we're at a museum or something. But when we're out on trail or on these dirt roads, been trying to incorporate more like walk and talk. So keep things
it's always
moving
better
along.
if there's movement.
And I think, part of what an audience is going to maybe experience is almost a more atmospheric reaction to the episodes, where with some of the better cameras and the drone work, you really get a better sense of what it is like to stand on those landscapes and have our experiences. And I think that's probably one of the most approachable ways for our audience to see the change. Is, at least in my mind, that's what we're really trying to do, is immerse the audience into the experience along with us. One of the things that has stayed true this season, along with all of the seasons in the past, is amazing guides and guests. And so I think being able to not only continue that part of the series, but now bring some really amazing landscape videography and really capture how breathtaking these locations are, I think is what's going to enhance.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because anybody can get out there and look at stuff at ground level, which is typically, but to be able to have aerial cinematography and really get, we always talk about scale, right? And so we're hiking up these mountains, and it's hard to get a true sense of how challenging some of these hikes have been, and that's where the aerial cinematography has come into play and really give people a sense of the geography and topography of the area.
Give it that good Lord of the Rings feel.
Yeah.
It's epic.
Right. And and some of the wildlife we've seen this year has been amazing.
We've been really lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, when we've had episodes where we've gotten more wildlife on video than I think we have in some seasons of Wild Nevada. We've really had some good luck.
Nice. Well, what can people look forward to? What have you seen?
Chris and I have a running joke that we always say it all starts with a lizard. And that comes from our episode on Rye Patch and Lovelock in the county. And we were, shooting at Rye Patch, and everything was going great. It's pretty interesting, and seeing how the dam works and the water. And halfway through the shoot, I look over at our freelancer, and I was like, man, this is great, but I feel like we're short on wildlife. Not more than a minute pass, and this little lizard runs across, and the lens I was on wouldn't have been appropriate for this shot. So I asked our other shooter, Isaac, I'm like, Isaac, can you get a shot of that lizard? So he's getting a shot of the lizard, and I'm kind of watching. 30 seconds later, red-tailed hawk flies like right between all of us and lands on this branch probably 15 feet from us. And now I'm on the right lens, right? So we had the lizard, red-tailed hawk. Right after that, there was a wild turkey that Isaac went chasing after. Then we got the boat out on the reservoir, and man, it was like a Nevada wild safari. So we saw a herd of antelope, pronghorn. We dock the boat. I hop out because the boat was a little rocky on such a long lens. So I hop out and getting, and this is when we were still shooting on the older cameras, but when the content is that good, it's composition and content, right?
Yeah.
Cameras essentially all do the same thing, and that's certainly a part of it, but it could have been any camera. It could have been a cell phone. I mean, we're right up on these antelope, and I kick it into slow motion, get these antelope kind of running up the hill, and then soon enough we see a fox I'm like, a fox? As long as I've lived in Nevada, I've never seen a fox. And pardon my ignorance, but I didn't even know foxes existed.
I probably would have failed that
And
test.
it seemed to me at the time, I was so shocked. It was equivalent of seeing like a pineapple growing in the middle of the desert. I was like, foxes exist?
And to
in
make
Nevada?
it even more amazing, it was a fox stalking a crane. And we did
Yeah.
by kind of interrupting the process, probably saved the crane.
Yeah,
But I
think we
mean, I
did.
didn't even
I think
know
we saved a life.
that foxes would hunt cranes. But
Yeah.
it was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Man.
and so it was our Nevada. I think that by far that episode was, and we saw, we Walker Lake. We got some great shots of some bighorn sheep. We saw some bighorn on our spectacular hike to Mount Jefferson, which is probably my highlight.
Yeah.
We did a bunch of stargazing and astro time lapse at night.
Oh, fun.
Really long days, but you look at it and I'm like, wow, that was a 17-hour day, but it was just so much fun. And it can be grueling, right? With now kind of like expanding our package of cameras and toys that we bring out. Some of these hikes we have to, like maybe let's leave that and bring this. And so we're
you have to
getting
choose
better.
now.
Yeah, it's good. But I joke with Chris, I'm like, man, we need like a PBS pack mule or a llama we could just keep roped up on the patio.
Yeah, well, there are probably people who would volunteer to do that for you.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you want to, go out and carry stuff all day and just be exhausted, we'll sign you up.
Yeah.
Well, and I try to, as a producer and someone who loves doing these activities, I really try to prepare the crew where I'll say, okay, this is the day, go as light as possible, and try to supplement by carrying extra water. And all of it is, again, that goal of getting to share that experience, because whether or not a person's going to necessarily want to themselves climb the top of Mount Jefferson, being able to share that view from not only a prime remote Nevada wilderness area, but what the view is like from the very top of the Takima Range is what in my mind Wild Nevada is all about, is really being able to share that.
Okay, so that was Mount Jefferson.
That was Mount
That was your
Jefferson.
highlight.
I think that was the highlight for me. Like Chris said, I mean, the hike was challenging. I wouldn't say grueling, but it was challenging, especially with all the gear and stuff. But you get up to the top of this summit and you can see 6 mountain ranges over, right? So, and they're all, and at the right time of late afternoon, they're all just kind of indigo little, it almost looks like a pastel painting.
Yeah,
It was
it
just
looks. Sometimes they look like they're special effects.
really.
You see these views and you're like, that's not real.
Yeah, that's
And it's
not
real.
Yeah, it's real. That view, and then our Mount Lola. I think that view in particular, because it's the highest point in that area. But you're looking down, and you can see Weber Lake, Independence Lake, Stampede Reservoir. You can see North Star. You can see off to California. I mean, the Sierra Buttes. I mean, that's something
Amazing.
that our friend Tim here was on, and that view was a payoff. Yeah, it was really, really spectacular.
It helps when it's got when you feel like it was worth it at the end.
Oh my gosh, yeah, very much so.
No kidding. All right,
Yeah.
so without giving all of the season away, Chris, what are your highlights that you want people to look forward to?
It's so hard. I don't know that I can ever say I have a favorite, because
That's why I just said highlights.
I
I'm not going
know.
to use the word favorite. It's over asked.
Back into
We've
a
been
corner.
hearing it for 30 years. What's your favorite blank? Fill in the blank. And the
Yeah.
answer is, I don't know, man.
Every
Ask me tomorrow.
episode.
It'll be different than today.
every episode, especially stepping into the producer role, it's kind of dream come true, because every episode I get to brainstorm and pull in this creative talent, and then go to these locations where, when they are as beautiful as so often they are, that it's just gratuitous payoff. And so I think, in addition to getting to some new locations, getting to go back and revisit some classic Nevada destinations, again, bringing new cameras and just new set of eyes, because every time you visit some of these locations, it's a new experience. So we went back to Berlin Ichthyosaur, and beautiful day, and couldn't have asked for a better, just even driving to the park was phenomenally beautiful. Mount Jefferson has been a bucket list item for me for a couple years. And so getting to get on the top of that was so much fun. The episode where we trace some of the old Gold Rush roads up into Tahoe, it was what I think kind of a gratuitous beauty show, because it just starts out scenic and then it just builds and gets more and more beautiful. I got to play with horses this season because I did an episode where we retrace some of the history and legacy of the Pony Express. And so not only did we get to push into some beautiful Nevada landscapes as we went across the state following the route, but I got the chance to work with some of the Pony Express Association reenactors. And so I got to pet a horse, ride a horse. And I'm always happy if I can play with animals. So
yeah, I'm guessing Samantha was a part of that, right? Samantha Szorka, formerly a colleague of ours here at the station. She worked with us years and years ago, and we've been following her ever since. She seems to have gotten right onto a horse and never gotten off ever since she left.
And I'm hopefully going to get to work not only with her, but some of the other contacts we made this season moving forward for other new episodes. One of my other highlights that the audience will get to enjoy is I got to go on a very small plane flight over Walker Lake and the Schurz area and the Walker River. And I love that area, and getting to show that area at sunrise from that view is going to be amazing, to get to share a really important cultural landscape from a different perspective.
Nice. And that's Peter Stanton, our former VP of development. It pays to know people. All these former colleagues leave here and we go tap them later and we'll make shows with them.
Well, and part of what is, I think, amazing about Wild Nevada is people ask if we're going to run out of ideas. And I always say every location, not even every episode, every location gives me another idea or another 4 ideas in some cases. And I think we've spent how many hours in the car with me just brainstorming with Josh and our freelancers and Tim also on staff who is out on crew with us. And I just spitball ideas. I think when I was asked for another 13 ideas, I came up with, I think I'm at 45 right now.
It was 10,
40.
15, 26, 32. I think we're at 40 something now. And
nice.
And I've gotten those questions too, like how, the show's been going for, years now. It's like, aren't you going to run out of stuff? And it's like, once you get out, Nevada's such a large state, right? It's really Reno and Las Vegas, and you go outside of that, and it is so sparsely populated. Yeah. That's a big reason I think we're number 1 in dark skies.
Yeah.
Just because you get out into these areas, and it's phenomenal. And just last week being out in Esmeralda County, it's like I'm trying to snap a photo on these dirt roads. We take a fork and I just take a photo so I can have a geotag so I know how to get back there, because there's no markers or anything. And I think that we're blessed enough to live in such a diverse state, not only geographically diverse, but culturally diverse.
Yeah.
And I really think that we're just kind of like scraping the tip here, and I think we have some big
it can go on
coming.
forever.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when we get out on locations. Sometimes we're chasing a view or a summit, and then sometimes it's an experience. Or when we go out and rock hound, it's literally hours of just enjoying each other's company, picking up rocks, saying, "Look at this one," and each experience and each guest lends us down a different path, and that endless variety, I think, is truly part of the adventure.
It is. Yeah. Some of these dirt roads, you're like, oh, this looks like high desert sagebrush, and then all of a sudden you hit a canyon. You're like, well, this is really cool. And then you get another half hour, and then there's like a big alkali salt bed, and then you go through another canyon. And it was really spectacular last week. You get into some of these more geographically or geologically, I should say, rich areas. And it was like purple and turquoise and green and caramel and white. And it's pretty spectacular.
And one of the things that is amazing, especially when you have an enthusiastic crew of people that is recording and having this experience, is as we film, sometimes we have to literally hook each other and say we're done, because you want to just keep exploring the next ridge and the next vista, and they just build on each other. And so
it's hard to stop, right? I have to wait
for
Chris to grab me by the collar and be like, Josh, it's time to wrap.
It's the curse of the cinematographer.
Yeah.
Right? You can't. What? One more shot.
Yeah.
I can get one more shot.
Yeah.
It's always been that way. Even before the cameras were higher tech and more versatile. Based in even back in the olden days, it's like wait.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah, we're in the car wrapped, and you're like, do you guys mind? I
Well,
really
and then the
need
sun
shot.
moves, right? The sun drops a little more, and you're like, oh, now that's
Now
even
that's
more
even
colorful,
more,
and
yeah.
now I have to get that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will never forgive myself. So you do it.
Well, and we get to work with such amazing agencies and organizations and been really involving, whether it's the Nevada Division of Forestry or Friends of the Nevada Wilderness or the Nature Conservancy. I mean, some of the groups that we get to go out and learn from really enrich the experience. And last week when we were out on location, we're finishing up, long day, especially this time of year where the days are so short. And the next thing you know, I look up and I just point to the sky because the sunset was amazing. And there was no way we could get back on pavement and miss that sunset. And so we went ahead and prolonged, got the sunset. We finish up, we're on the highway, and the next thing you know, I think you were the one pointing at the moon.
The moon, we got a
had a full moonrise. And
Yep.
so we had to stop and film that moonrise because you
Yeah.
can't miss those opportunities.
Yeah.
They're too beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can't miss this series when it starts on December 18th. How about that for a transition? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So remember, Thursday, December 4th is when we do the preview, and then 2 weeks later, the premiere. And then after that, you actually get to see what Josh did, because the first
Yeah.
two were
Yeah, the
before
first two
you
were
came
not me.
on. So, I'm excited for everybody to get to see this great work, because I know it's been a ton of love and effort put into it. So, looking forward to that. Josh, when you guys were out at Berlin Ichthyosaur, did Chris tell you about the first time we went out there and pretended to ride bikes from Berlin to Ione? We totally faked
that's
it.
a slice of life out
We
there.
totally
Yeah.
faked it. So we were riding bikes in air quotes, and
Yeah.
we'd go past the truck, and they'd say, "Okay, stop, get in the car, we'll drive." And we'd throw the bikes in, and we'd sit in the back of a truck and ride for 10 miles, and then they'd
Yeah.
say, "Get out, ride past us again."
Okay.
And so, and then if you watch that episode, we rode bikes from Berlin to
Okay.
Ione.
See.
BS. We barely did anything.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, but that's that's production life. Your time is everything. You have to get it shot and get it done and
It is.
and get out of there
Yeah.
before the sun drops. Unless now the sun dropping gives you new opportunities, because
Yeah.
you can do night shooting and
Yeah.
you can do the stars and all that stuff. We had
Yeah.
none of that
None of
in
that.
the olden days.
Yeah.
There was no camera good enough to get that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a different world. So
Yeah. it
I'm
is.
excited to see some of that stuff.
Yeah, we've been trying to bring like a more organic feel to it, and like I said, show more of the crew and the production involved in it. and
Cool.
Not have to cheat
Love it.
stuff like that. But coming into this, I had no idea how well received and loved this show is. I joke with Chris every time we go out to eat when we're road tripping.
Yeah.
It's like the swarms, and I'm not joking. Swarms of just unbridled giddiness when they see Chris.
It's
and
funny when people recognize you from TV, they act like you're something, and it's like, I'm just covered in dirt, sitting here and having a burger. What are you
right,
talking
you
about?
Pull your hat down, but
Well-
people. I joke with Chris. I'm like, we can't take you anywhere.
Well, and I always say, I mean, truly, in Wild Nevada, the landscapes in our locations are really what people love. We're just the excuse to get to show them, and I think that when I have that encounter, I know that that's what people are reacting to is the fun and the adventure that we get to share.
And it's all encompassing, right? So I mean, it's the one show where I feel like people from all walks of life, no matter your spiritual beliefs, your political beliefs, I mean, it resonates with people, and I've seen that being out with Chris, and it's been really fun, challenging in all the best ways, and I look forward to doing more.
Great. Well, it's about to start. So
It is.
if it's not yet December 18th, if you're listening to this late, well, shame on you. But get out there and watch them now. Here's another way you can watch them. If you don't catch the broadcast, we are now putting full episodes of Wild Nevada on our YouTube channel. And the first 7 from season 7, 6 shows from season 7. I think that's what we did. Just posted them. And people love them. We had one, the Ruby Mountains had thousands upon thousands of views, because people search the people love the outdoors. They search for their locations that they're interested in, and these opportunities pop up. And we had like 17,000 people watched one episode because of where it was and how much they love it, and that's great.
Spoiler alert: we may or may not be going back to the Rubies. So
I would not be. I would only be shocked if you didn't.
I
go
was
back
going to
to
say,
the
I
Rubies.
don't like to play favorites, but
That's your favorite.
No,
You already used to say it all the time.
it's one of my
Come
favorites.
on,
But I
stop
don't
it.
know, because the Toyabe and the team, I mean, you give me a mountain
You know what? The
range.
mountains can't hear you. They're not going to be offended. It's okay. You can love the Rubies. It's
Well,
fair.
and so as you mentioned the YouTube, one of the things too, if you're a streaming viewer and yet you also want to go out and do some of the things that we do, or at least learn more about the locations on our website, each episode will have links to the groups that we worked with, the locations. So if you want to find out more about any of the locations, it's a good starting point.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we got to wrap up, or we'll talk about this all day. All right, thank you guys for coming in and talking about it. Watch the show when it comes out. In fact, let me read my little script as we say goodbye. You can watch Wild Nevada on PBS Reno via broadcast, streaming, pbsreno.org, and many other streaming sources. Also, watch segments on PBS Reno's YouTube channel, as we mentioned. Now, do you have a question about Wild Nevada, or maybe a comment or a suggestion? If you do, send them to me at podcasts@pbsreno.org. I dare you to email me. I think I've gotten 2 in a year. I dare you to send me a message.
challenge.
So, we got to go. My thanks to Chris and Josh. Thank you both. And
Thanks,
thank
Dave.
you
Thanks, Dave.
for listening to Wild Nevadacast.